Hey guys, so I'm actually sitting here editing this video right now, and apparently my camera did not adjust to the proper lighting settings until about a minute and 10 seconds into the video, so that's why the first minute and 10 seconds of the video look really underexposed and I am not lit very well. However, it did fix itself after that minute and 10 seconds, so yeah, I don't know. I tried to fix it, but no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to match up. However, please enjoy the video.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I will be reviewing Fear Street Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Ugh, October. Such a wonderful month. I mean, seriously, isn't October just like the best month? I mean, for me it is. You know, me and everyone else involved in the film community, October is just such an amazing time of year. I absolutely adore it. And for my Halloween special this year, whereas last year it was just like 1 or 2 videos, this year it's going to be 12 to 13 videos. I'm going to say 12 videos as of right now. It's going to be 12 videos this year that I will be releasing all throughout the month of October. I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite horror films. And today I am reviewing the Fear Street Trilogy, and this also is the first video of my 2021 Halloween special. Now, I do want to get into the review, but first I just want to say, how do you like my Halloween background? In regards to decorations, I didn't really add a lot. I didn't really buy any new decorations, but I did buy a bunch of new LED lights to give it that sort of Halloween vibe. So this is going to be my background for most of my Halloween reviews. I'll change up the colors depending on the movie that I'm talking about, but I don't want to waste any time on that. Let's get into this review. So Fear Street, if you don't know, is a Netflix original horror anthology trilogy. I say anthology because they are all connected, really, but it seems like Netflix likes to refer to it as an anthology, so that's what I'm gonna do. It's a Netflix original horror anthology trilogy loosely based on the books by R.L. Stine, and each of these movies were released a week apart earlier this year, and like during the summer. These did not come out during Halloween time, they came out during the summer. And each and every one of them was directed by Leigh Janiak, or Leigh Janiak. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I apologize, Ms. Janiak, if you are watching this video. I tried. Essentially, the plot is that there's this town called Shadyside, which is infamous for years and years of serial killers. It seems like every so often, one of Shadyside's residents just snaps and just goes on a killing spree. It's been that way for the past 300 years. And I'm not going to say any more than that. I'm just going to leave it like that, because there's some satisfying aspects of this trilogy that I would like for you to experience the full satisfaction of, so I'm not going to divulge them here. And yes, I am reviewing all 3 of these movies in a single video, because, you know, it's a pretty cohesive trilogy. It kind of forms a very nice cohesive whole, and plus I didn't want to make singular videos for each and every one of these movies because I just don't have that kind of time. It's gonna be a struggle just to film 12 videos for this Halloween special anyway. Okay, first off, all 3 of these movies are extremely well made. They have great cinematography, great sound design, set design, just all of it. It's really, really great, and since each of these movies takes place in a different time period, the first one is 1994, the second one is 1978, and the third one is 1666, they made sure that the cinematography and setting and sound design and performances and visuals and lighting and all of that complemented the period of time that the movie was taking place in. And as these are horror films, there are obviously a lot of kills, and I am a big fan of practical effects in horror films. I think it makes it much, much more effective. There is CGI implemented in this trilogy, but there is a surprising amount of practical effects, especially for Netflix, and thankfully, all those practical effects were used on the kills. There are some really, honestly, like, messed up deaths in this trilogy. Like, there was stuff that I didn't expect, especially it coming from an R.L. Stine novel. The Fear Street novels weren't like, you know, hardcore TVMA content or anything, but they were known for being more graphic than Goosebumps. I haven't read any of them, but if some of the content in this movie is in those novels, holy crap, Stine. There's a kill in the first movie. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to spoil anything. This is a spoiler-free review. There's a kill in the first movie involving a bread slicer that was done all practically, and it was really, really effective. I also gotta give it to all of these actors. They gave great performances for the material that they were given. I feel like if other people had been in these roles, some of this dialogue and some of these exchanges just wouldn't have worked as well. But these actors do a phenomenal job with it, and you can tell they're having fun with it, which is another thing. All three of these movies are just so fun, particularly the first two. They're just so fun. There's more of a focus on the thrills and the fun and the entertainment of it than there is on like genuinely disturbing, like getting under your skin type scares. However, the disturbing scares that there are very effective, and they all have great pacing throughout. There were very few moments where I was bored with any of these films. And what's cool about all three of them is that each one, the era that it is set in, is kind of in a way an homage to like some of the most famous horror films of that time period. Like part 1 is set in 1994, and it is very much in the style of Scream. It has a retro feel, and it has very, very endearing characters. And 90s music at the wazoo. Like, that's a phrase I never thought I'd say. There is so much 90s music all over part 1, which I liked, but I get how some people might be like, oh, they're just being lazy and nostalgia, which, I understand, but one of my favorite 90s songs of all time is Creep by Radiohead. I love that song, and it's used in this film, and when I heard that, I just couldn't help but jam out. And since part 2 takes place in 1978, it is very much an homage to Halloween and Friday the 13th, though I would say it is much better than Friday the 13th in regards to characters and scares. And part 2 does have probably some of the most disturbing scenes in this trilogy, because it does take place at a summer camp with children, and children die. Children are hacked to death with an axe. And the way they portrayed it was very scary, very tastefully done, very artistically done. I very much appreciated that. They did not have to exploit, a bunch of like gore with these children being killed. The way they did it was much more effective, and it was also respectful. And as I said, great characters. And the finale of part 2 is so emotionally powerful, which I did not expect. I was having fun with these movies, but then I got to the finale of part 2, and I was like, whoa. Like, the way they shot it was just, and the way the sound design and the score, and just, man, it was really well done. Like, surprisingly so. And then we get into part 3. Now, you might be thinking, wait, part 3 is set in 1666, so how is it going to pay homage to a movie of that time when there were no movies in that time? Well, I would say it's more so paying homage to other horror movies that take place in that time. However, I would say this one is the most unique of the three. If I had to sort of reach, I guess this one could possibly be paying homage to The Witch, because The Witch took place almost around this exact same time period, but overall, this is definitely the most original of the trilogy. And it actually got me to cry. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still a horror film, there's still some really effective scares in it and everything, but there is a very emotional backbone to this film in particular, going back to 1666, looking at how this all started. Really powerful stuff, which I did not expect, and you might be surprised to hear me say it, but it really did affect me, and I did cry. And also, something that I thought was really well done throughout all three of these movies, the entire trilogy as a whole, was the social commentary. There is some very, very well done social commentary throughout all three of these, and it doesn't feel ham-fisted. It doesn't feel like they're shoving it down your throat or hammering it over your head, however you want to phrase it. It does not feel like they are forcing it upon you. One storyline in particular, it didn't feel ham-fisted. It just felt like they were depicting characters who just so happened to be a part of that minority. And I thought the way, particularly in 1666, that it explored how people in that minority were treated back then, I just thought it was very effective and respectful and very tasteful and artfully done, and somehow relevant. Isn't it sad that the way they treated these minorities back in 1666 is still relevant to today? That was 1666. That's crazy. Now, yes, all three of these movies take place in different time periods, but they are all relevant. They all are kind of bookended by the events of part 1. So, I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but the end of 1666, it's a nice bookend, and the finale of the trilogy is just so, so satisfying. It's a surprisingly satisfying conclusion. Like, I was like, honestly, this could end, everyone dies, and I would be satisfied. But the way they chose to end this trilogy, I could not think of a more satisfying ending. It was just so emotionally satisfying. It was honestly like a major catharsis. I really, really loved it. I don't think it could have ended better. And I picked up hints of this throughout the trilogy, but it really wasn't until the trilogy finale that I fully realized just how invested I was, and I didn't even know it. It's kind of a pull the rug out from under you moment. Really, really good stuff. And I know I'm talking a lot about the emotional side of these movies and everything, which you may be disappointed by, but it's just because I didn't expect that, and so that's what I have more to say about. All the horror stuff that most of you probably clicked on this video to hear me talk about, very, very well done, very effective. As I said, the practical gore is extremely effective. It's very well shot. There are some shots in this trilogy that gave me goosebumps, and that will definitely keep me up at night just thinking about them. Some shots reminded me of Insidious and The Witch, which I referenced earlier. Really chilling imagery like that. Now, while I don't hold it in as high regard of a movie like The Witch, I think this trilogy is just, as a whole, very unique because, you know, each movie and how it takes place and all that stuff. And it was a very, very enjoyable trilogy. Like, I just had so much fun watching it, and I could easily see this trilogy becoming a staple of my Halloween movie watching. Every single year, I might just watch the Fear Street trilogy. It has that bingeable quality to it. Now, I want all these videos in this Halloween special to be a celebration of horror movies, and so I'm not really going to get into any of my negatives with the film in this video. You can probably guess what they are. You know, I was talking earlier about nostalgia and using a lot of songs from the era to kind of pad the soundtrack and all that stuff. You can take all those things, because obviously, yes, I do not feel that these movies are perfect, but I want to celebrate scary movies this month. I want to talk about some really, really great horror films. Now, I did say I was going to be reviewing a bunch of my favorite. I'm only reviewing these because they came out this year and they're relevant. These aren't like some of my favorite horror films of all time, but on their own, I really did have a great time with this trilogy, so let's go ahead and grade all three of them. I'm going to give Fear Street Part 1, 1994, a B+. I'm going to give Fear Street Part 2, 1978, an A. And I'm going to give Fear Street Part 3, 1666, also an A. Don't ask me which one is my favorite. I'm going to have to rewatch them and, like, fully come to a full and complete confident consensus on which one is my first. I do not know right now. So guys, the Fear Street trilogy, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, what are some of your favorite Netflix original horror movies? There was one that I considered reviewing for this Halloween special, but it's not one of my favorite horror movies. I just thought it was really effective. There's a Netflix original horror film. It's a German film called Blood Red Sky. It was actually pretty good. Like, I actually think that's a pretty good horror film. Let me know that down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching the first episode of my Halloween special 2021. Look forward to more episodes coming very, very soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys. It really does mean a lot. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep writing, keep shooting, and keep editing.